Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. It's time to trust your intuition. This is your inner knowings. Through questions and points of conversation, I can help others feel empowered. With the ability to touch people's past lives, I help others connect and not feel alone. Sit with me and call in live, 888-994-4995.
Sally, we are so excited to have you on True Oldies VCMG Live. Sally Barnard, host of Call Me Zena. This is a new opportunity for you to be sharing your platform with the listeners of True Oldies VCMG Live. So can you give us a little background on to who you are and what Call Me Zena is about?
Yes, basically I'm a psychic and a medium. I channel through, I have a collective that I channel. I have a program where I can have, it's a call-in program where I answer questions. I don't necessarily have to know what the questions are, but my guides come through for me. I've been doing this now for about 4.5 months on your show. It seems that I can answer any questions that you want regarding your loved ones, of anything that you feel that you'd like to talk to somebody, or I believe that I know that we all have guides, so they come through for me. So any questions, any calling questions, I'm able to answer. Thank you.
You can answer questions that connect to our loved ones on the other side.
Yes, and the way that it works actually, Dawn, and I'm glad you asked me that, is that I'm in a trance, but you're not really aware of it, but I answer, as long as I get the question, I can give the answer. I do not have to know what the question is, but they seem to come through me, and I'm able to give the answer. If I have to think about it, which I actually am right now, it doesn't flow quite as well, but once my collective comes in, I'm able to answer any question that you ask me. So I kind of work as a medium, as someone that's channeling. I'm also an empath too, so please call in. Any questions that you have in the audience here, I'm happy to answer.
So give Sally a call at 888-994-4995, Studio A, to ask any questions or be part of your live studio audience every Monday.
So here we go. We're ready to
ask you a question. I found a white feather yesterday.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Well, for me, it has a very personal meaning. One of my guides actually is white feather, so I feel that he was talking to you too. And to explain this, and many people do find pennies, but I happen to find white feathers. It started when I started, and I was able to do this maybe about 18 years ago. Around me, I kept finding feathers. I'm from London, England, so we don't know too much about the Hopi Indians. However, I went into the internet at that time and I started to look about if there was anybody white feather. There he was. He was a Hopi Indian, and from then onwards, he's basically been part of my life. I know that sounds a little bit strange for people that may not understand this, but to give you a very good example, I recently got married. His name is Steve, and I was telling him, just as I'm telling the audience here about this story, that white feather is around me. And he's going, yeah, okay, all right, that was all right. I accepted that. I understand that not everybody can believe that. But as we're talking, unfortunately he's not here today, we were talking and he suddenly was telling me something, and he happened to put his palm out. And as he did this, in my house, a white feather dropped into his palm. So he started his journey right there. So I believe that white feather is working with you right now, Dawn, and also is with me. So whatever happened when you found the white feather, he was giving you messages.
We were sitting with my son and my daughter-in-law, my new daughter-in-law, just discussing the upcoming wedding plans, and there was the white feather.
Okay, I believe, from what I'm hearing I do believe that he's here right now with me. He's actually letting you know that they know, and people that have passed in your life, maybe from a few years back, You have a group of people there, Dawn, and they're very aware of this upcoming wedding, which is your son's, I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay, so just know when they're getting married that you're going to be surrounded by many loved ones, both here and from the other side. I feel that he's giving me that message. And as you know, my famous goosebumps are happening to me right now. They will be there with you in spirit.
Thank you.
Is anyone in the audience here?
Sally, do we get messages in different aspects? I mean, I understand the feathers, but are they other aspects of communication? And what do different things have different meanings? Feathers, pennies, dimes, things of that nature.
Well, yes, and I'm sure many people can relate to, especially the pennies. You know, there is a song, I believe, Pennies from Heaven. I do believe that and I think that may be why we're able to find the pennies, because we're aware of that. I was not aware at the time when I found my white feather, but I did research many years ago. I'm going back about 18 years ago with a girlfriend of mine, so I felt very close to the fact that I had a guide called White Feather. But they do leave us messages. They're sometimes very subtle, we're not sure exactly, but if we're open to it, we can find out. You know, it's a feeling. I communicate with people from the other side basically with telepathy. I hear them. I go with my first, what we would call thought. And I have had some amazing answers from them. I get, if someone's calling in for a message, I will get sometimes the first and last name of their loved one. I don't know even the person calling. So for me, I've been validated many times. I am able to do that. I don't believe I'm the only person that can do this, but we need to be, obviously I'm not the only person that can do this, but we need to be open-minded about it. If we don't kind of believe this, we kind of shut ourselves off. But I believe that many people have this. Just go with your first instinct. If you see a feather or a penny, say to yourself, who is sending me that? And if you get a thought in your head, it's possibly the person that's doing it from the other side.
And is there any significance of what is being sent? In other words, a penny versus a feather, or something else, a rock, or something that occurs?
No, I don't believe so. I think they're just wanting to let us know that they are around us. So if we have a particular question, go ahead. They're saying to us, as I feel it, that they are around. Ask them. And then, as I said, go with your first, it's intuition, your first instinct of what the answer may be. It may not always be because we put our mind into it, which I do sometimes too, but I don't when I'm asked questions. I know to clear that because I'm in some sort of a trance. But I don't believe that it matters. It can be a rock, it can be a penny, it can be a feather, it can be anything. But if you feel that that's coming from somewhere else and you look down on the floor and there's a penny, by all means, at that point, when you see it, ask someone, one of your loved ones that's passed over, a question. And if they're around you, and just listen. It could be something that comes through on the radio. It could be a song that you can relate to with that person. They will let you know. But we've just got to be open-minded about that.
You have a writing question. What is spiritual magnetism?
Spiritual?
Magnetism.
I'm not quite sure. Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Someone wrote in, they wanted to know. Let's see if they write in again.
Okay. Well, we're drawn to, I mean, they want to make their awareness known to us. So if we're open to that, we can feel that there's someone, it's a feeling. I can only go for myself, but I feel that they're around me. I don't necessarily have to have the white feather or a penny because I've been doing this for many years, but I just get a feeling that they're around us. It's once you have it, you can go with that. It's just that I get goosebumps many times, as everybody in the audience know that I do get goosebumps.
And someone else just wrote in, Frank A. Ruffolo wrote in, I wrote an historical fiction novel based on a Marine sniper from the Vietnamese War that wore a fight feather when he was about to shoot. So I guess feathers have meanings for others.
Well, yes. I mean, we all, in answer to that question, we all do have spirit guides, and they try to make their known to us. White feather is just one of my spirit guides, but an answer to your question, just know that you have someone around you that can you repeat the last part of that question, or we can put it up again, Frank? I'm sorry.
Can you see that?
Okay. Who wore yes, but this also could be something I'm feeling, Frank, that this is something from a previous lifetime for you. I feel that if you, and I know probably that, just go with a feeling. You may even get a dream on this. If you get a dream, write it down. I feel that this is something that is based on a previous life. And it's some sort of message. I'm really not sure. He was about to shoot. I'm not going to say, and I definitely don't want to say that he was about to shoot you, but he's trying to give you some sort of a message. You write fiction, and I love your books because I believe they have a lot of, I know it's fiction, and I have read, or I've been aware of your books, Frank, that there is a lot of meaning in your books. So as far as this goes, I feel that you're touching a previous life, if that makes any sense to you. And they will also say to me, does that make sense? Which means my guides are around me right now. Does that help?
I think that makes perfect sense.
Thank you.
And then you always thank your guides.
I do, yes. I do.
Can you
I'm
help
not aware
people
of
with personal psychic questions as well if we're looking to change business career or find a relationship?
Yes, I can do that, absolutely. If someone is wanting, they're not sure which path to take, whether they should take this job or whether they, even health questions, I can answer those, absolutely. I'm happy to do that.
And people can book you for private readings?
They can, absolutely too, yes. I'm available for private readings on a one-to-one.
And it's callmezena1111@gmail.com.
Correct. Thank you, Dawn. Yes. When I'm in this type of a trance, it's hard for me to come back and explain who I am. But I'm very happy that you're doing that for me. Thank you. I'm aware of that.
We actually have someone else in the audience. Do you have a question as well?
Oh, yes. Hi.
Hi.
I have a couple of friends that have passed away recently. And then I come visit them in Florida, and one was a dear friend to my mother and our family, and she just passed away. She had a heart attack, and I feel like kind of lost without her when I come down here because she lived in our building. Do you have any message?
So she lived in your building, correct? And she's passed away recently. Do you feel anything? Your question is, do you want to know if she's still around you?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
like, you know,
Yes.
she always, like, every time I came down, she'd be like, Claire, don't go out at night. It's dangerous, you know, and I feel like I hear that in my head. Like,
Well,
don't
she's
go-
still telling you that, okay? She's still warning you and telling you, because my dear friend who was my guide, who used to warn me all the time, call me when you're at a certain place, be careful when you drive. I still hear that in my head. I believe he's carrying on with the same messages for me that he did while he was able to talk to me in physicality, as I feel that this lady is doing. It's a lady, right? I feel
Right.
that it's doing the same for you. Absolutely. So if you feel that she's saying something, or she's telling you to be careful, or something good is going to, it doesn't have to be a negative, it can be a positive, that
Right.
you're on the right road, go ahead and do that. My suggestion is that she's still talking to you, so go ahead with what you were going to do
So
and feel
she's
good
still-
about
you
it.
feel
But
she's
listen,
still around.
she's absolutely still around, absolutely, and she's also very, very aware of what she used to say to you, and she wants me to tell you that she's carrying on with the same messages because
Right.
she's very aware of what's happening.
Right.
So listen, stop and
Does
listen.
she have any messages for her husband?
For her husband is still in physicality. Yes, that she's around him too. This is very much what I'm feeling. And that the advice that I'm giving you, if you can, are you friendly with him? You see him?
Yes.
Tell him about what was happening here right now, because she wants me to tell him that she is still around him. So it's like a telepathy, to listen. Just very listen if you feel that maybe I should go ahead and do something, or if you're in your gut, that's what they're doing, that I shouldn't. She's there. She's telling him many things. She is definitely around him,
Right.
okay? Definitely. I'm feeling that very, very strong.
Yeah, and then we had another friend that died suddenly, also a male. I don't know. It's just like weird. You come down to Florida and the people that you expect to see, they're not here anymore, you know?
Well, yes, and you know, unfortunately or fortunately, because I feel that we still carry on, our loved ones are around us. I believe that they have, although there is no time on the other side, we have kind of like a resting period. So in order to come to talk to someone, I believe in our time that we should leave it a month or so, just so that they get acclimated where they are. I don't know if I'm right, but I feel very strongly about that. So I believe the person that you're talking about passed not that long ago.
Yeah, a few months.
Okay,
Maybe
well that's still not a
6
long time ago.
6 months.
But if the person is ready, I feel that it's a man, I feel that he is ready now. He is around, he's very aware of what's going on. So if there is a question from a loved one, ask, just listen. I mean, what I'm doing, people can do.
You
Just
know, like for example, this guy, he just fell on the steps and died. Like,
well,
we have no idea.
did he have a heart attack, I think? Yes, I believe that he did. Okay,
didn't
it
say.
was his time. I truly believe that
Yeah.
we kind of, in our, before we come here, we don't want to know necessarily when we're going to pass, because that's not going to be a good thing. You only have 10 days or a year or two. But I think somewhere in our, what we call a super consciousness, we're very aware there where we're going to pass. So it was his time. I don't believe that anybody, even in an accident or even in a tragic situation, I believe, not everyone will understand that, and I understand that too, that we choose and we know when we're going to pass. So it was his time in answer to that. If that helps the person that was, that maybe a wife or whoever it is, just say that it was his time. There was nothing she could do.
Thank you.
Does that help a little bit for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just, I want to know if he was like still there.
No, okay, I'm going to bring him in. I'm going to see if I can bring him in. Okay, it was a shock, just like anybody else. When someone dies very fast, they're not sure exactly where they are, because it happens, but it was meant to be. It was his time. They also have to get acclimated, and he is now acclimated to where he is. Mm-hmm. So yes, he can give messages. You can try to give messages, it's up to us to see if we can, see what it is, or to go to somebody who is a medium or a psychic to be able to tell them. But he is around now. He's more acclimated.
Okay.
Frank says the book he wrote about, the gentleman was a real person and he wore a feather. So you asked if that made sense, so he's telling you yes.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. I don't believe it was a white feather, but it was somebody that is what I would call, because white feather was from the Hopi Indians, so that person was with this person. The feather doesn't have to necessarily be a white. White is just a symbol, but
He called it a fight feather.
Excuse me?
He called it a fight feather.
Okay, okay, but it's real. They're giving a message, so it's from a previous life. Definitely, this is a previous life scenario.
Correct.
Good.
And then there was another message that says, this is from Abraham. Can you see what his guides are telling him today?
What his guides are telling him?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I like to always give positive, so take this in a very positive way, okay? Just be aware today, and I'm not seeing anything bad, okay? Because I am positive, but I do believe that I have to give my messages out. Be very aware today of what's going on around you. Even as an example, if you're having a drink of water, be aware that possibly you could drink, the water could fall on the floor. It's nothing bad, but just be very aware today of your surroundings, okay? That's what I'm feeling right now. Anybody in the audience? Anybody coming up with a question for me? Okay. Do we have a question over there?
Sally, is it possible to reach loved ones with more time in between their parting and the day you find out?
Possible to reach somebody when they've departed?
The distance of time between when they departed and when you find out about it.
Okay, there is, and this is hard to understand, but on the other side there is no time. But once someone has gone, what I would call it's a transition. You can reach them, absolutely. However, I say you can reach them, but nothing really is changing from, if their belief here, and this may sound a little strange, but what they believe here, they carry with them to the other side. So it takes them time to acclimate themselves. But if someone is very aware when they pass that they're able to contact us, they have less trouble in being able to do that. Like, I'm very aware that they can contact us, so I know that. So when I go, I'll know that I can be able to contact somebody. Our thought process is not that different on the other side. So we basically carry on from where we are here. If someone is not open-minded to this, when they've gone to the other side of the veil, they're not even aware that they are able to do this. But in time that they can come, just like here. Again, there's no time, but they come to the idea that maybe I can contact someone. It's not a whole lot different from here. They're just in a different place, dimension I like to call it.
What about the amount of time that we hear it takes for us to communicate with them?
Okay, time is not really irrelevant because there isn't time. It's when we're it's hard to explain this, but it's when we're ready. I mean, someone could pass, and again, there is a resting period. But as I can only talk, I know my guide who was here, who passed away nearly 2 years ago now, was very aware of what I was going to be able to do if he should pass, because he explained to me in detail. So that carried with him when he passed. So if I want to talk, and his name, anybody that knows me in my book too, is Adamir Aldo, I can talk to him because he knows that I know this. He gave me this knowing when I was here. And he had to have known when he was going to pass, but he didn't tell me. But he said, continue to talk to me. I will be able to help you more on the other side. But he was pretty advanced in this lifetime. Not everybody is where he's coming from. But we can do this. We just talk. I can't tell you they're definitely going to hear because it depends who they are. But if you feel that you ask someone a question, go ahead like they're here. Just ask them that question and listen. Listen very carefully with your gut feeling. If you say, am I doing the right thing? And you hear, yes, you are, right away, go with that, yes, you are. What can happen? It's this is how they communicate with us. So go with your gut, go with your feeling. They never leave you. Let me just say that because we're coming up to commercial. But just know that love especially never dies. We never pass. We transition. But my message to everybody that's listening right now is that we keep going. We keep going. Okay? Thank you. And please, we're breaking for a commercial shortly, but please come back. We have a different topic, UFOs. So I'm excited to talk about that. Thank you very much. I hope to see you on the other side of the commercial. This world, this life, this illusion. What is going on, we ask? What is happening? Why not take time and see what is happening? This world as we know it, it seems so real and yet so far away from where we've come. Corruption, greed, anger, power, revenge. Please wake up. We can change what is around us. How, we may ask? Learn to go back to where we were. Then we will have the clues. Then we can change and go forward. Please take the time. Do not fall into the game which we have put upon ourselves. We can change. We can make a difference. We have the power, each and every one of us. Go in peace, go with love, go as one. Zena.
A true story, Call Me Zena is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came to the U.S. in 1979. A mother of 2 and grandmother of 4, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the 3rd dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest in art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she's able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life's direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today.
Coincidence or not, it's time to trust your intuition and knowings. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book, artwork, and contact through artbysallybarnard.com. Join us next week. This has been Call Me Zena. Hi, here we are again on the other side of the commercial. I'd first of all just like to introduce my guest, Russ Johnson, who has a program you had for many years on UFOs. We're going to be talking about UFOs today, so ask me any questions, and my guest here is Russ.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I just want to go over some basics, if you will, for most people, because the Pentagon recently has said on 2 occasions that they're UFOs, or UAPs, what they say, and it's a soft disclosure, according to a lot of people who've been doing a lot of research. Now, UFOs and discussion and books and television programs, Beyond Belief, Cosmic Connections, Gaia, and all of these programs have been on television for many, many years, right?
Right.
So, but for many, many years, also, UFOs have been coming and going on this planet.
Absolutely.
Okay.
As you know that I understand this as best I can. They've been coming for many, many years.
For
yeah.
many, many years.
Yes.
And so I just want to go back to some of the basics of what was happening
Okay, please
here.
do, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if the government has been, a certain part of the government, we're not talking about the president or Congress or the
Okay.
Senate, because they are really out of the loop in terms of the Secret Space Force.
Right, right.
Okay.
Right.
Can you talk about the Secret Space Force just a bit?
Yes, I can. I believe they call it the Secret Space Program here. So I believe that this has been going on for many, many years. I believe that we know very little about this, but I feel that many people have been over the years abducted, including myself. And I'm just coming out with this because I feel that I can help people that have been abducted, as you know. I only realized very recently, and I feel that my first abduction was 18 years ago. But I feel now, and I feel that they're telling me, because I am psychic, to come out with this information. It's very, very important for people to share their stories. Even if they think that they're imagining it, it's very, very important. There is a program, as you had just mentioned, called the Secret Space Program. So much is going on. But the disclosure that is coming out, and I realize we have to do this, and they call it a soft disclosure, we have to do this gradually. But if I can help in any way, or if anybody wants to ask me a question, I am now beginning to get my memory back of what actually happened to me.
So you're saying that not only you have been abducted, but many, many, the estimate I had, about 8 million people here in the United States, but of course 9 billion people in the world.
Right.
So it's a big
right.
number.
Yes.
So it's a worldwide phenomenon. Can we say that?
Absolutely. There is no, it doesn't matter what part of the world you are at. It's going on, and I absolutely, it's just that it's hush-hush. It has been for so many years, but I feel that we're actually reaching a point where now there's going to be some kind of disclosure, because even on the, let's say on the news, quote, on the TV, they're talking about, they're seeing things much more today than they were a little while ago. Absolutely.
So why all the hush-hush then, if I may? And I want to just go back a minute or two. When we talk about 1952 and we saw many spaceships coming to Washington, D.C. over the nation's capital in
Right,
1952.
right.
So people who want to do that research, all you do is Google that and you'll see that happen
Absolutely.
in 1952. In 1947, we had the Roswell crash. Now, there were other crashes too, way before Roswell, but that seems to have garnered the attention of a lot of people. Why the silence? Why the quiet? Why the secrecy?
Well, actually, that's a really good question.
Okay.
So the best of how I can answer that, we were not ready. We're coming more, let's say, open-minded to the suggestion that we are not alone here. Even with what I'm doing, this happened to me 18 years ago. I did write a book to say that I was going to different planets. I had no idea what was going to happen to me by the people here with their reaction. But today I'm more comfortable. We're coming more open-minded to the fact that there are more, that maybe we're not alone. And there are many movies that come out that do try to give us that message. It's going more into what I would call our psyche, that maybe, and I've mentioned this before, Star Trek. The part of the information is what I hear is happening. So people are coming a little more open-minded. I think it's really important that we do that.
But you were saying that the certain part of the government, and we're not talking about presidents or the Congress or the senator, because most of them have been written out of the secret Space Force. They don't know anything about it.
They don't, no, they don't.
So there's an animal called Majestic 12. Do you know much about the Majestic 12 and when it was formed and why it was formed?
Okay, I'm just becoming, even though I know that I was abducted actually several times, I'm just becoming aware, because my memory, just like a lot of people that may have been abducted, they're not sure, because my memory or my brain said to me that it didn't happen. But I'm aware now of the Majestic 12. It's something that I believe is in, there are members, and a lot of them, and don't quote me because within the CIA there are people that are there, that are a group of people. It's not known, but through my psychic energy that I get, I'm feeling very strongly about this. Its disclosure is near. And there are many people that may feel that maybe we shouldn't have disclosure. But you know what? We can't tell these aliens not to show themselves, because everybody is going to go crazy if they see them. So I think we can do our part by exposing the fact that they are around us. Even if they don't believe it, just let us think maybe they are here. And yes, in answer to your question, I'm learning more about the Majestic 12.
Yeah. From what I've been reading from Dr. Sella, Michael Sella, S-A-L-L-A, right? He's written a lot of books. For the people who want to do research, I suggest people start doing research on this stuff.
Yes, please, if you can give the name of the book offhand, I'm not sure, but if anybody who is listening is interested, it gives us a lot of information. I believe it has something to do with Kennedy's passing, right? His shot.
So if you were to just Google his name, he does a podcast.
Okay.
Ex-politics, he does it, ex-political, whatever the title is. So he does a podcast, Michael Sella, S-A-L-L-A. So I'm suggesting that when you go to your television and look at Gaia, Cosmic Connections, Ancient Aliens, and all the rest of the shows, are they already?
Right.
So begin to look at that name. That's one name.
Thank you for mentioning that.
What other name would come to your mind?
Well, there are many people. I personally, I do know, if any of our audience knows of Uri Geller, actually, and I over the years I actually did meet him. He's from London, and he's had a lot of experiences. So anybody, even if they want to look up, I don't know how much, I believe he has a program on Gaia. And he's written a book about spying for the CIA, which now I'm finding very interesting. And I do know him, and he's very advanced as far as this goes.
How did you meet him?
I met him through a friend of mine in London. That was, again, a lot of strange things have happened to me. I get off the plane from London, and before I know it, I'm in Uri Geller's house. And I felt a complete connection with him. So I also am an artist, which he is. This is my art behind me. And he was very interested in my art at that time, too. But I was getting messages then, and he's had some amazing experience, and I believe he has a book out about the CIA and how he spied, apparently.
Can you tell us something about Geller?
Uri Geller?
Uri Geller.
Well, he's he's Israeli, and he lived in London for many years, but I believe he's now back in Israel. But he's had many, many experiences. He's had experiences with UFOs, and not just that, his psychic abilities too. If anybody wants to look him up, you'll read this. He's also an artist. And also something that has come to me over the years of the number 1111. It's very dear to me, and I found out a lot about it. I was looking at his heart not that long ago, on every painting he's put the numbers 1111.
1111.
So there is no coincidences, Russ.
How would you spell the last name Geller, if you will?
I am the worst speller in the world.
Well,
it's Galler.
Okay.
Uri Geller,
Uri
yes.
Geller, yeah. So he's pretty prominent.
He's pretty prominent, but there are many people other than Uri Geller, yes, but I just happen to know him personally.
Okay. So what is his position today now that there's a soft disclosure by the Pentagon and some of the parties in the government who are coming out slowly, whistleblowers, if you will?
Well, I know that he periodically will write things about what's happening, so I'm sure he's delighted that there is a soft disclosure, as anybody that is interested in this. So once we start talking about it, once the news gets out, there are many people that you can look up that have had encounters, especially, and I always talk about Gaia because there's so many programs on Gaia, the secret space program, and you know many of the people that are on those programs. David Wilcox.
David Icke.
David Icke, yes. Okay. He's very good to listen to, yes.
And David Icke is from England too, also.
He's also from England, yes.
Let's a little history on David Icke.
Well, David Icke has been doing this for many, many years, actually. One of the first, my guide actually told me many years ago when he met me, and he was trying to teach me. He knew that what had happened to me, I wasn't even aware. And he said one of the authors at that point that I should listen to was, or read, was David Icke, because he had had an experience many years ago. And he's often on Gaia. So anybody listening, please go into the program and look his name up as David Wilcox. And there are a few other people too, yes.
Corey Good.
Corey Good is also very important. And Emery Smith, yes.
Yeah.
They all do talk about this. At the moment, it's a soft disclosure. I mean,
but these guys have been working and researching the UFOs and alien abductions for 50, 60, 70, 80 years.
Absolutely.
I mean, they've been entrenched in the whole analysis and looking at the research materials over the last 80 years.
Absolutely.
Okay, so why now are we talking about a soft disclosure when 80 years ago, let's go back to 1947, the Roswell crash? Why didn't the government did come out the first day they crashed, right?
Yes.
Then they changed the story the next day, said, nope, that was a weather balloon.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this will continue to happen until they're ready. But you know what? Not that long ago in the news, we're going back maybe a month or 6 weeks ago, when a couple of very mysterious things happened. They spotted something in the skies, right? Have we heard any more about it? No. Has it just gone out of the news? It's still there.
Well, the main party of the news, the major news, ABC, NBC, CBS, and Sirius Radio, and NBC, and all that, they kind of shy away from all of this.
Yes, they do.
So, but you do have the podcasts, many podcasts all across the United States that dealing with aliens and alien abductions. They begin to talk about this now, prolifically.
It's becoming more, I'm not going to say completely acceptable, but it's becoming more that people are wanting to know a little bit more, and it's becoming more, they are talking, you can turn on ABC or CNN and you will see something.
Do you tell your friends that you have been abducted?
I've only just recently, you were probably one of the first people that
so you've been keeping it a secret.
I did. It's not necessarily that I kept it a secret, because I wrote a book, and I wrote what was happening
When
to
did
me,
you
but
write
I
the
didn't
book?
realize it was an abduction about 17, 18 years ago. I
Okay,
was
18
documenting.
So you've been holding this close to the chest.
I
for
didn't
18 years.
understand it. I thought I was just what we would call, and I didn't even understand the astral projection, but I today realized that I had been abducted many,
Okay.
many times.
Why do you feel free now to tell people that you've been abducted
Okay.
on the radio, on television, in your books? Why?
Because I'm ready to come out with
Why?
my story. Because I believe it's very important,
Who
Russ.
says
and-
that? Your guide?
But I'm understand. My guide, yes, my guide told me. He told me many things in this lifetime. For people that have probably listened to my show, that they're aware of Aldo or Adamir. But he told me he never led me into anything. I was the one that had to ask him the questions, so he knew where I was at. I always thought, if any of our listeners know about astral projection, and he explained that to me, and it's well known today. We do go to different places in our astral body. But having said that, he said to me, there is something, and he kept it from me until I opened up. He said, you will remember. After he passed, I'm suddenly looking at all my astral projections and realizing that this was not only astral projection. I was being abducted many, many times. And just to say that this was all good, nothing bad happened to me
Okay.
from my memory.
Well, how can you prove that you were abducted?
I can't prove it, but I can tell people what happened to me.
Okay.
I
How
know.
can people,
Yeah.
for instance, I can say, I think I was abducted. I'm not so sure.
Okay.
Because they do erase your memory. Is that right?
They definitely do.
Okay,
But one
how-
of the things I can, in a way, prove it, if you look at these paintings behind you,
Okay.
that one of their messages, and I have 160 of different pieces of art.
Right.
Okay, they told me on one of my abductions to go and, they actually gave me advice to go and get some crayons and start to draw. I have never painted, I never even, maybe at school I had a few art lessons. That memory came back to me about 18 years. When I had this, I started to, and today I have about 160 drawings.
Oh,
and the
wow.
strange thing, and I mentioned this because I recently got married, and I'm looking with him because he didn't completely understand that. And I'm looking at some of my art, which I have hanging up in my my bedroom, and it's big pictures of these big eyes of aliens. And it's only today that I'm actually seeing what I painted. I
Okay.
painted them.
So, if you were abducted, do you remember being on a spaceship?
Yes.
Or being taken?
Yes.
Okay. How did that happen?
Well, just like we're talking now, I went to sleep, so I thought, and I have vivid memory of 18 years ago, because it was nearly a year that happened. I was on spacecrafts, because if I was just projecting myself, most of the time people do not, as far as I know, see you. But I had 2 or sometimes maybe 3 people in a spacecraft, which I'm only just beginning to remember. I remember what happened to me, but my mind, I'm opening up to the fact that this was a spacecraft that I was on. They were talking to me, they were explaining to me the planets that they were going to take me to. I have vivid memory of this. And I actually have drawn some of these things. you
Well,
know.
any other indication? Would people know whether I've been abducted, or my cousin, or aunt, or uncle?
Not always, unfortunately, because there are many times, and this is another phenomenon that happens to me. Let's say you're in bed, like with my husband,
Okay.
maybe, and he's saying, "Are you going to be abducted tonight?" Okay, because I've just
you gonna
opened
leave
it
me
up.
tonight?
I said, possibly, but they'll not only erase my memory, which I'm breaking through,
Sure.
they will actually erase his memory.
Okay.
So he said, "Well, I see you flying around." I mean, it's a logical question.
Sure.
No, because when he wakes up, he'll have no memory either. They're
Okay.
clever. They're clever.
Okay. That being said, when you're in bed and they come to get you, do they take you, open the door and walk you through? No?
No,
What?
that's a very good question.
But-
But as far as I know, from what happened to me, from my memory coming back, I'm in bed sleeping, and the next thing I know, I'm on a spacecraft. A thin one. It was a different one. It wasn't these big ones.
Okay.
My memory is breaking through much more today. I documented everything when I woke up. I didn't realize it was abductions, even so much, which I was just telling my husband Steve yesterday. I woke up one time in the middle of this, I became very aware that I was on a table, and it was a lady. She wasn't doing anything bad to me, But I thought it was a table for some reason in my house. It wasn't. I was taken, I was put on some kind of a table.
Since people are being abducted, the estimate I have is that about 8 million people alone in the United States have been abducted. Then how can they remember? How can they bring these memories to the fore? Because in addition to being abducted, how can I do this? There kids being born, in the Bible says something like that years and years ago, that the gods are coming down and...
Right, yes, which I believe actually Genesis actually has some of this.
Okay.
Well, we don't, I can't, on a personal level, I really didn't even realize myself. So yes, I know now that I was abducted, but one thing that I want to do for myself and anybody that feels that they've had a similar experience is to be hypnotized.
Okay.
I will go to a hypnotist. I know what happened to me. I documented a lot of this. So my advice is take it seriously. Think, it's not, I don't believe for myself personally that they were here to harm me in any way whatsoever.
Okay, then why would they, if these alien species are thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of years more advanced than we are intellectually, psychologically, technologically, then why would they abduct us?
Many reasons.
Why?
First of all, we're not very good right now with our planet. They know that we're doing things to mess this planet up. So I believe that not everyone is a friendly abduction. But right now I do believe that I'm going to say, and I'm even going to say that the majority of the ones that are abducting us are trying to find out some of the damage that we're doing to ourselves. So I feel, for me personally, they took me to see whether, we're adding chemicals, we're doing a lot of things. So technology are way advanced. Let's say they're in the future of where we are today. So they're trying to find out a lot of the damage. They're also trying to give us advice. We don't listen because we don't understand, but they're trying to help us. Not everyone, and I do want to say that too. I never have had a bad abduction, as far as I can remember. But they're here to help us. They're here to give us they've come down many times, and I'm absolutely certain to give us technology. I mean, if you take, for instance, 50 years ago where we were at and where we are today, just look at the iPhone, the technology that they've imparted with us. So they come for many reasons and want to help us with technology.
Okay, so you're saying that they're benevolent?
Yes.
Okay. Some other people say that they are also malevolent. A combination. Good.
It's a combination.
It's a combination,
yes.
Do you identify with any of the aliens, either the Greys, the Reptilians, the Nordics, the Blue Avians? What reptilians have? I mean, what aliens have you come in contact
with?
That you can
mainly
remember?
For myself, I have had, if you want to say, a good abduction.
Okay.
Because I haven't experienced anything really bad. However, I do believe that can happen. I'm a very positive person, and my show, if my listeners know that too, I talk about positivity. So I bring to myself, including the aliens, I feel, the positivity of this. But if we're scared, and there's reasons sometimes that we should be scared, and
Why?
I understand that too, because just like life here, not everybody is for our best interest. And there is certain groups of aliens that are amongst us here that are trying to, I believe, just to verify, to say where I'm coming from. There's good and bad in everything, okay, Russ? So even on this side, if we don't, it's not all good. We have to have a balance. And we actually have to have the other side too.
Why do we have to have, I'm curious, why is it necessary?
A very good question. I'm glad you asked that, because if everything was absolutely fabulous, we wouldn't have the gratitude or be able to say, oh, this is amazing. We've got to see a distinction from good and bad, black and white. If we only had white, how would we know what black is? How would we know what colors are? And that goes with everything that I believe in our life. We've got to go through life and know both sides of it.
Well, it's a vast universe out there, billions and billions and hundreds of billions and probably trillions of planets out here.
Yes.
How many aliens, the species that you know of, or that you've read about, or that you've heard about, out there approximately in this segment?
I can just
of the
throw a
galaxy?
number out because
Okay.
there are many, but I have actually, I mean, for people just understanding this, I believe that there are at least, and this is just a number, 1,000 planets with different species on them.
Wow.
You know, listen to Star Trek.
Right.
I mean, I don't know who wrote Star
That's a big
Trek,
number.
but it is, yes, because we're not
how
alone.
How about Among Us? What do you think?
Among Us here, they walk with us here too. Yes, absolutely. I can't give you a number, but I would say that
Either-
it's pretty vast with the amount of people that are
I'm
here right
thinking
now.
about motion pictures like Communion,
Yes,
or the Fourth Kind, or
yeah.
Hearts in Atlantis.
So they're trying, even you know, they're happy, I think, when we see these movies. My message today
Okay.
for the people, and I
Yeah.
know we don't really have that much time,
okay.
is to open your mind up. Just think, maybe we are not alone. Because for myself, and there are many people, as you say, there's been many abductions. They don't understand always on an abduction what is happening to them. But my advice, and this is what I'm going to do, and I'm taking my
Right,
own
right.
advice, is to go to a hypnotist. Because there is no way I'm making up what I experienced.
But you can't go to any hypnotist.
No, you've got to go to someone, do your research on that,
Okay.
which I'm going to do, and I
Okay.
believe you're going to help me a little
I
bit
am,
with that
yeah,
too.
right,
that
right.
I can then say, you know, even under hypnosis, I know what I saw. But I also I mean, as much as I believe this, and I know that it happened to me, the validation is very important for me too.
Right.
I'm spreading this word, I know what happened to me, but how good to say even under hypnosis that it's happened.
Absolutely. Okay. Fire in the Sky is another motion picture that's done. I'm thinking about the incident at Exeter with Bonnie and
Oh
Betty.
yes, that was, I believe, was on Gaia too.
Oh, yeah,
Actually,
okay,
yes, they were
yeah.
one of the first few people that came
1961.
forward. Yeah, absolutely.
So
yes.
listen, if people want to really start doing research rather than listen to me or you,
right.
where should they go?
Well, you
What
know,
book
today
would
we
you
have
recommend?
access, obviously, to an internet. So all we need to do, let's say, to start off with, because offhand I don't know a lot of
Right.
names, you probably know more than me, is to type in on Google, research on
Right.
UFOs. Who would I go to research? And there are many names. I mean, credible names,
How about if-
whistleblowers today.
How about if I say Dr. Stephen Greer?
Greer, yes, absolutely.
What do you think about him?
Yes, I do, because
He's been researching this for 40 years.
yes, and these are credible. I mean, they're credible people. They have a lot to lose by coming out with this information if they didn't feel that strongly about it. I mean, there's many people in the space program today. I mean, I believe astronauts.
Yeah,
There's
Gordon,
a few too.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Gordon
so
Mitchell.
it's not
Yeah.
just me coming out with this.
Right.
But my message for people is do your research. I've had experiences. I am not the only one. Just see, maybe you listeners right now may say, you know, someone said something to me about this. Take it seriously.
So this is just beginning.
It's just beginning.
Disclosure.
Absolutely.
As a matter of fact, Dr. Stephen Greer has in June the 10th, 11th, and 12th in Washington, D.C., he's going to have a big to-do and
Right.
press club
Right.
event, the whole 9 yards in June.
And here's, just to give him the credibility that you know more about him than I do, but he is a doctor who has come
Right.
out with all this.
Right.
I mean, these are credible people that have had this information that may have kept it secret, but today I think they're really coming out with
So
it. We need
it's
to
just
know
the
this.
beginning of a massive disclosure. if
I
you
think
will.
so, yes.
A lot of information
I
coming
think so.
forward. Books, a lot of television, a lot
Yes,
of podcasts.
yes.
Everyone will be talking about this in the next 5, 10, 20 years.
I do believe
Yeah,
so, yes,
right,
I do
right,
believe that. I mean, I have had premonitions and a lot of those have come about. And one of the few things that I'm listening to that they're telling me is that disclosure is imminent.
Okay, the people who talk to you from the other side, what are they saying about this whole disclosure?
It's important for us to wake up to this. Even if you don't, just do a little research. I'm not telling everybody go believe it right now, but keep an open mind. We're getting a lot of signs on this. We're getting, and as I had mentioned a little earlier, I think on another program, We have a camera now with us all the time, which many years ago we didn't. We'd have to go inside, find something if we saw something up in the sky and take a picture. Today, most people carry a phone with them. So if you see anything, even a bright light, take a picture. What can happen? Maybe the picture is good or it won't come out or whatever. But take notice of these things. Get your camera and take a picture.
But you've had a guide for many, many years.
Yes.
18 years. And he crossed over. What is he telling you now about all the different species of aliens on the other side that he may or may not be in contact with?
I love that question because he will always tell me something to do here. He did that when he was here and continues to do that. I am sitting here not by coincidence to talk about this, Russ. He is telling me, bring forth this. He understood that. We didn't discuss that much. We discussed many other things when he was actually in physicality, because as anything else that he guided me with, I had to present it to him. I wasn't aware that I had been abducted. I was aware that I was astral projecting in my body. But since he's passed away, the clarity, and he told me I will remember, I am beginning to remember this. I believe it's a very, very important message.
So if people have some information they want to get in contact with you, how do they do that?
Well, just either send me an email. It's Sally Barnard 1111 @gmail.com. Barnard is Barnard. They can call through to this program at the Brooklyn Cafe. I'm here Mondays and actually Fridays also.
So that's
888-994-4995, Studio A. And my art is available, which is artbysallybarnard.com.
Okay, great. Well, I'll tell you, it's been great talking to you, and I've got some information. Got to do some more homework.
Please.
Got to stay on the point. But I would like to remember, if I have been abducted, some specific things that happened when I was abducted. Because we're now talking about hybrid kids coming and all that, that goes on and on and on.
You know something? Let me just tell you this, and I'm going to put it out there. If you feel like you have been abducted, you don't have to come out with anything right now, Russ. You have been abducted. But that's up to you. I can't tell you. Okay. I mean, I might know, but I'm not going to tell you. We have to make up our own mind with this, because otherwise, if we don't, we're not going to believe that it actually happened.
So in the next 60 seconds, I think that's all the time we have. Well, how would you close out?
My message is, please, you don't have to believe anything that we've said here, but my message is, please just keep an open mind. Your signs will come to that individual, whatever it is, be it from the last program, which I said a few before this one, before the commercial, about white feathers.
Right.
They are here to give us messages. They're here to help us. But if we're closed-minded, how are we going to receive? Just like me talking to you. If you were closed-minded, we wouldn't have been able to have this conversation.
True.
Same thing.
Excellent.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And thank you for being my guest, Russ. Please don't be a stranger on my show.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you very
one.
much, everybody.
Oh, you've been listening to a program with Sally.
Thank you.
Call her Zena.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, everybody, till next week. Coincidence or not, it's time to trust your intuition and knowings. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book, artwork, and contact through artbysallybarnard.com. Join us next week. This has been Call Me Zena.